Hello guys, this is InfoRx. We are the tech experts. If you need tech-related information, subscribe our channel and click the bell button. Follow our social media pages. Okay, let's go to the topic. Dell XPS 14 2024 review. Old touchscreen and a hefty price tag. Dell has presented the XPS 14, a new multimedia laptop of which we have tested the high-end variant with an OLED panel and the GeForce RTX 4050 laptop. At almost $3,000 United States dollars, the device costs an arm and a leg, and especially when it comes to performance, you shouldn't set your expectations too high. For many years, the Dell XPS 15 was a well-known size within the multimedia segment. In 2024, the manufacturer has replaced the 15-inch model with two new versions featuring 14-inch and 16-inch screens. Today, we will be taking a look at the new XPS 14 9440, whose introductory price of $1,499 United States dollars cements it securely within the premium segment. In turn, you get the new Meteor Lake Core Ultra 7 155H processor, 16GB RAM, a 512GB SSD, and a Full HD panel. Our test device with the Core Ultra 7, 32GB RAM, a 1TB SSD, the GeForce RTX 4050 laptop, as well as a Hi-Res 1-OJ OLED panel, costs a whopping $2,399 United States dollars, and as a result, has to compete with other high-end multimedia laptops and gaming models such as the Razer Blade 14 or the Asus ROG Zephyrus G14, both of which are even cheaper but offer more powerful components. Case: the XPS 14 with a stable but bulky aluminum case. The new XPS design is strongly inspired by last year's XPS 13 Plus. The old model's wedge-shaped design has been kept, and Dell offers the device in platinum or graphite dark gray. The base unit is tapered at the front, giving it the impression of being a slimmer device, but when you pick it up, it becomes obvious how heavy it is and, in general, how bulky the case actually is. Visually, the new XPS 14 makes a good impression, and as soon as you open the lid, the continuous glass palm rest without a visible touchpad and the white keyboard, without any spaces between the keys, dominate. Fingerprints are not a problem on the palm rest, but you can see some slight marks on the lid. The aluminum case's quality is outstanding, as the base unit cannot be dented or warped, and we noted no creaking noises. The display is just as stable, and the hinges have been set well, meaning it only wobbles a tiny bit when you adjust the lid's angle max 135 degrees. However, the shape of the front edge makes it difficult to open the lid with one hand. The XPS 14 weighs almost 1.8 kilograms, and it's also comparatively thick, measuring 19 millimeters. This makes it one of the heftiest devices within our comparison group. Only the Surface Laptop Studio with its foldable screen is slightly thicker and heavier. Plus, the Blade 14 is slightly heavier but not quite as thick. Even the MacBook Pro, which appears quite hefty due to its design, is around 3.5 millimeters thinner. The 100-watt power supply adds another 350 grams to the scales. Connectivity: 3x Thunderbolt 4 on the XPS. Despite its relatively thick base unit, Dell relies solely on USB-C connections, all of which support Thunderbolt 4. The scope of delivery includes a small docking station with a USB-A connection as well as an HDMI output. In total, the new XPS 14940 trails behind the comparison devices, and even the MacBook features an HDMI output directly attached to the device. SD card reader: the right side of the device features a microSD card reader feather mechanism, which takes in the compact memory cards almost completely. In combination with our reference card Engelbert AV Pro V60, its transfer rates reached a maximum of around 200 megabytes per second, and when copying image files, We measured a good 140 for megabytes per second. Communication: the WLAN module from Intel AX211 supports the Wi-Fi 6E standard in 6 GHz frequencies, and during our WLAN test using our reference router from ASUS, its transfer rates were very high and stable. We also noted no problems when using other routers during this test. On the other hand, the XPS 149,000 for 140 doesn't support Wi-Fi 7 webcam. Dell has installed a 1080p webcam into the top of the display frame, as well as an IR camera for facial recognition via Windows Hello. The webcam's quality is fine in good lighting conditions. Furthermore, the camera supports studio effects, background soft focus, eye tracking, auto framing as part of its operating system, meaning it works irrespective of which application is being used. Maintenance: the bottom cover is secured via 8 Torx screws T5 and can be removed easily. However, most of the components, including the RAM and WLAN modules, are soldered on. Even so, the fans can be cleaned and the M.2-2 to 8 OSSD can be swapped out. The battery is screwed in and, if needed, it can also be replaced. Input devices: keyboard takes some getting used to and annoying function keys. Dell has decided to use the XPS 13 Plus keyboard design by also installing a keyboard where the keys don't have any gaps in between into the new XPS 14. The keys themselves are slightly concave and it feels comfortable to type on them as the keystrokes are precise. However, there are several other problems, as we often hit the wrong key and the keyboard definitely takes some getting used to. The tiny vertical arrow keys, which are hard to hit if you have slightly larger fingers, were also annoying, and the noise that larger keys spacebar, enter make is significantly louder. The power button, which includes a fingerprint scanner, is located at the top right where you would expect to find the delete key, which brings us to the next problem. The function keys are installed as a touch bar and are always illuminated, which can be annoying when playing videos. For example, the normal F keys can be displayed via the FN key, which, to be fair, also works well overall, and we had no problems with unrecognized inputs during the test. However, you can't even use the S key blindly and always have to look at the keys. We had an issue with the keyboard backlighting, as the touch bar lighting switches off when inactive, but not when playing videos for hours without any input. The bright keyboard lighting is also constantly adjusted by a sensor, and you can't influence the intensity. At least we didn't find an option. The sensor is also not interested in whether the lighting was deactivated manually shortly beforehand. As soon as the lighting conditions change slightly, the lighting is reactivated. The touchpad is fully integrated into the palm rest, and you can't tell where it starts and where it ends. The touchpad uses the full height of the palm rest, and its width extends from the middle of the left Alt key to just above the new Copilot key. In total, it worked well and proved to be nice and smooth with even haptic feedback, but we occasionally encountered problems if you left the area or started the movements slightly off the actual touchpad area. In contrast to the touch bar, however, this is only a minor point of criticism. The optional OLED panel is also equipped with a capacitive touchscreen, and this works perfectly displayed a 3.2K touch-sensitive OLED. The new XPS 14940 is fitted with a 14.5-inch Full HD panel, no touchscreen by standard. For a surcharge of $300 United States dollars, you can choose a high-resolution OLED touchscreen instead, which features a resolution of 3200 by 2000 pixels subjectively. The reflective panel's picture quality is very good overall, as content is depicted extremely sharply and colors appear vivid, but you notice a slight raster effect when displaying light content in particular. We didn't note the same problem on the current OLED generation from Samsung, for example Galaxy Book 4 Pro 14, review coming soon, and Dell's OLED trails a little behind in terms of brightness too. In SDR mode, we measured an average of just over 350 candelas per square meter, making it similar to the old ZenBook Pro, the current Samsung OLEDs, with a slightly lower 2.8K resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate, for example ROG. Zephyrus G14 or IdeaPad Pro 5, on the other hand, manage more than 400 candelas per square meter. Its black value is 0, leading to an extremely high contrast ratio and, in contrast to IPS panels, truly dark blacks. Furthermore, the old screen boasts some clear advantages in terms of response times, but in turn, it makes use of PWM at a frequency of 480 Hz across all brightness levels. In HDR mode, its maximum brightness when depicting a small image excerpt was 625 candelas per square meter, and when displaying an almost completely white screen, it reached approximately 580 candelas per square meter. For an old screen, these are good values. However, its mini LED competitors can offer even more in this aspect, especially the MacBook Pro 14 with its brightness of over 1,500 candelas per square meter. Moreover, macOS continues to have a massive advantage when it comes to handling HDR content. We analyzed the screen using the professional Kelman software X-Rite i1 Pro 2 and used the preset Vivid, which delivered the best measured values. In general, this profile is already satisfactory, as all colors remained below the important Dell T200 deviation of 3 compared to the P3 reference. Color space only, its grayscale depiction wasn't the best. We also noted a minimal color tint, but this is only noticeable in direct comparison with a calibrated screen. With the Internet profile, Dell provides users with an sRGB profile, and the colors are also very accurate using this setting. Our own calibration, on the other hand, showed that the panel is capable of even more, and aside from improved grayscale depiction, we also further improved its color accuracy. It is able to cover the P3 and sRGB color spaces in their entirety, meaning the XPS 14 is perfectly suited for editing photos out videos, although the same can be said for the competitor devices. The display backlight flickers at 480 Hz worst case, for example, utilizing PWM. The frequency of 480 Hz is relatively high, so most users sensitive to PWM should not notice any flickering. However, there are reports that some users are still sensitive to PWM at 500 Hz and above, so be aware. In comparison, 53% of all tested devices do not use PWM to dim the display. If PWM was detected, an average of 17,997 minimum, 5, maximum 3,846,000 Hz was measured. The touch screen is very reflective, and this could lead to some issues indoors as well. Outside, you have to try to avoid reflections from light sources or bright surfaces. On cloudy days, you can use the device quite well outside, whereas sunny days could easily cause some problems. Its viewing angle stability is good in general, but when deviating far from the center of the picture, you start to notice the blue shimmer that is typical of old displays. Performance: fast RAM only with NVIDIA GPU. The new XPS 14 9440 is exclusively available with the new Core Ultra 7 mobile processors 155H and 165H from Intel, and at most, the XPS can be equipped with 64 GB RAM. This is oftentimes not the case with its competitors. When it comes to RAM, you are faced with some limitations if you decide to go for a model without a GeForce GPU, as then you'll have to make do with slower LPDDR5 for OO RAM and a maximum of 32 GB. The faster LPDDR5X7 for 6/7 RAM is reserved for the DGPU models, although the integrated Arc iGPU would benefit from this in particular. Testing conditions: Dell offers various energy profiles that can also be combined with the Windows performance settings. The default profile is optimized, which we also used for the following benchmarks and measurements. The CPU's performance can be increased slightly with the Ultra Performance profile, but there are no differences in GPU performance, and the RTX 4050 laptop's maximum TGP is just 30 watts, although it is 40 watts according to the driver. Processor, Core Ultra 7155H. The Core Ultra 7155H belongs to Intel's current Meteor Lake generation, offering a total of 16 cores to 2 threads with 6 fast performance cores that can clock it up to 4.8 GHz. This is the successor model to the Core i7-13700H, and as there are no longer any P-series chips, the new Core Ultra 7155H covers a further TDP area of 28 to 115 watts. In the case of the XPS 9440, the processor is able to consume up to 64 watts for a short time, after which its consumption quite quickly sinks to 30 watts. This means our test device was only able to succeed over the competitor devices during short tests, while under longer periods of load, its multi-core performance sank noticeably, approx. 30%. Only the Acer SwiftX was even slower in this case. The new XPS often had to admit defeat to its competitors when it came to single-core performance, too, but this is a general problem the new Meteor Lake processors have to deal with. Of course, its performance is good enough for everyday use, but as a customer, you can't help but ask why you don't get any better performance despite its thicker case and expensive price tag. In battery use, the processor quickly sinks from 64 to 28 watts, and its multi-core performance is around 12% worse. Further CPU benchmarks can be found in our tech section. System performance. Subjectively, its performance is very good, but this is the case with virtually all expensive modern laptops. We faced no problems during the test. However, the competition came considerably ahead of the new XPS 9440 during the synthetic benchmarks, DPC latencies, and our standardized latency test surfing the web. For YouTube playback, CPU load, the test device with the current BIOS version showed significant limitations when using real-time audio applications. Storage devices. The new XPS 9440 features a PCIe 4.0 slot, and our test device uses the 1 TB variant of the Samsung PM9A1, whereby this model is the OEM version of the 980 Pro. In total, the SSD's performance is great and its maximum transfer rates are super high. In addition, these values remain totally stable under longer periods of load, which isn't always a given. Speakers. Dell has installed a speaker system with 4 modules to X woofers, to X tweeters, and a total output of 8 watts into the laptop. Its sound is good overall, but not as powerful as the competition models like the MacBook Pro 14 and especially the ROG Zephyrus G14 offer better sound systems. For example, power management. OLED with high power consumption. The high-resolution OLED screen requires quite a bit of power, and at full brightness, in idle mode, and with the standard dark background image, we noted just over 10 watts. Its mini LED competitors may require even more energy, but they also shine brighter. Plus, the brighter Zephyrus G14 is more frugal, consuming a maximum of 9 watts. Under full load, we measured a maximum of 107 watts for a short period, which then quickly balanced out at about 75 watts. This means the supplied 100-watt power supply is sufficient in size. Runtimes. The battery's capacity is 69.5 watt-hours, and its runtimes are unfortunately only average. At a brightness of 150 candelas per square meter, 69% of our test device's maximum SDR brightness, and at 60 Hz. Our WLAN test ran for 745 hours, 655 hours at 120 Hz, and at full brightness it ran for 624 hours, 547 hours at 120 Hz. The video test at 150 candelas per square meter ran for 1035 hours, and an HDR video could be played back for 1035 hours at maximum brightness. Dell offers two different charging profiles, and in normal mode, a full charge with the device switched on takes just under 150 hours 80%. In approximately 90 minutes, and with express mode activated, it takes 80 minutes 80% in approximately 56 minutes. Verdict: the new XPS 14 has to admit defeat to the competition. The new Dell XPS 14 9440 raised a few questions after our test. We are most surprised by its overall concept, as the new 14-inch XPS is a very heavy, thick, and expensive laptop compared to the competitor devices, which naturally brings with it certain expectations. However, its performance is on the completely other end of the scale, and for around $2,500 United States dollars, you get the slowest version of the GeForce RTX 4050 laptop that we have tested so far. Furthermore, its fans are by no means quiet. The design of Dell's new models is inspired by the XPS 13 Plus 9320, also adopting its unusual input devices that bring quite a few problems along with them. You definitely have to get used to the keyboard with its flush keys, and although the touch bar for the function keys including the ESC key may look nice in photos, its practical use just isn't there, and if anything, its brightness just gets in the way. This is the case when watching videos in dark surroundings, for example. The frameless touchpad, on the other hand, works pretty well. The case itself is built well and boasts good stability, but it is simply pretty massive. Although its connectivity options feature 3 modern USB-C ports including Thunderbolt as well as a fast card reader, the competition generally offers more, such as an HDMI output and USB-A. The optional OLED display with a 3200 by 2000 pixel resolution offers good picture quality with accurate P3 and sRGB profiles. However, taking a closer look reveals a raster effect, especially when viewing light content. With a maximum SDR brightness of 350 candelas per square meter, the Samsung panel also can't keep up with the newest OLED generation, as current 120Hz 2.8K OLEDs can reach up to 400 candelas per square meter by now. Moreover, higher brightness levels lead to constant PWM flickering. In addition, the old screen uses quite a bit of power, which leads to average run times. The only advantage the XPS 14 has over its competitors is the option to get it with up to 64 GB RAM and a 4 TB SSD straight from the manufacturer. Apart from this, the new XPS trails behind in every aspect. The much better ROG Zephyrus G14, which is lighter and thinner, offers a lot better CPU performance, a much faster RTX 4070 laptop, more connectivity options, better input devices, better speakers, and a great 120Hz 2.8K OLED screen for $2,800 United States dollars. This laptop even features a software solution to counter the PWM flickering. Only its fans get a bit louder. The XPS also doesn't stand a chance compared to the Yoga Pro 914 from Lenovo, with its 14.5-inch mini LED panel and the 80-watt version of the RTX 4050 laptop. Only Apple's MacBook Pro 14 with the M3 Max is quite a bit more expensive. However, in terms of performance, CPU and GPU, it runs on a whole new level, and its total package is better too. Even the base model of the new XPS 14 9440 with the Core Ultra 7155H, 16 GB RAM, a 512 GB SSD, and a Full HD panel doesn't make much sense, because then its hefty case and heavy weight are even more noticeable. In addition, the iGPU variant, which would benefit from fast RAM, currently only comes with slower LPDDR5X6 for 00 RAM at around $2,000 US. Its price is also far too high, and for this amount, you can also get the base model of the ROG Zephyrus G14 with the Ryzen 9 89 for $5,000. 2.8K old, 16GB RAM, a 512GB SSD, and the dedicated GeForce RTX 4050 laptop. Thanks for watching this video. For more information, touch with us. Comment your opinions about this video.